and welcome. You're watching NDTV Profit. I'm Mahima Vachrajani. Well, one stock that is in focus today is Thomas Cook. Well, in terms of FY24, the revenues grew by 23%, EBITDA was up 68%, margins have significantly improved, and net profits have also significantly improved. Now, in terms of key highlights, the retail growth showed a 19% growth, and holiday sales growth was around 88%. But to discuss more about this, how FY24 has gone by and how FY25 is shaping up, we have with us Mr. Madhavan Menon, Executive Chairman of Thomas Cook, who joins us now. Welcome to the show, sir. My first question to you is that, now that a coalition government is formed in India, do you expect any kind of headwinds in the travel industry, or you're still expecting all tailwinds in the travel industry?
Good morning, Mahima. Thanks for having me on NDTV Profit. Look, I don't think government policy has any influence on the way people travel, except through potentially through a budget, which we don't have anything at the moment. Secondly, I think one thing we can credit quality in India is continuity. And clearly, this is an area that will benefit from continuity. So I don't see any impact of the new government in Delhi.
Understood. So, Mr. Menon, I'll come back to the financial aspect side. Well, your revenues have grown by 23% as compared to FY23, and have grown to around 302 crores now. So, how does FY25 look like? Will you also be expecting a similar growth? If yes, if you can just quantify that number for us.
So I think you need to look at this in two sort of stages. If you look at the sales and the revenues, you must understand our sales reflects multiple accounting measurements of how it is done. So I would actually look at the revenues. The revenues clearly growing at a good clip, and I think this is going to continue because all our businesses are back in the green. They're all making profits, and therefore the recovery process is going on. If you look at the bottom line, clearly there is what I would say an exaggerated growth in profitability as measured against the previous year, where several of our businesses were not making money. An additional feature that we have is the cost benefits, the savings of costs that we established during the pandemic, and we continue to hold on to most of it at the moment. Most of our businesses cut their costs significantly, and even though that they are in recovery, they've managed to upgrade their technology, and therefore the need for the same number of people as we did pre-COVID is no longer required. So yes, revenues will continue to grow, and if I look at forward bookings in the India businesses, which represent the core of our group, clearly I'm seeing growth over the previous season, and this will get reflected in 24-25. So I'm fairly hopeful that we will register another year of growth, both at the revenue line and the profit line, as the market comes back to normal.
Right, understood, Mr. Menon. So, can we say that you're expecting a double-digit growth even in FY25? And if yes, how will your margins look like? At present, they're around 10%. Do you expect a margin expansion also in FY25 then?
No. So from a margin point of view, I think we will look for more stability in margins. You'll appreciate input costs are already high in our industry, whether you look at it from an airline perspective or whether you look at it from the perspective of hotel rates. So I would expect that our margins will remain stable. What I do expect is that further recovery in travel, because if you look at the absolute transaction numbers, in terms of people going on holiday, the foreign exchange transactions, the people coming and staying at Sterling, the tourists coming into India, there's a fair amount of headroom still in terms of from a PAX number point of view. That's continuing to recover, and we're witnessing it. If you take the long-haul outbound, that Thomas Cook and SOTC are witnessing. A lot of the growth is now being driven by new, customers coming back, new customers that we've had for the last year. So my expectation is that growth will continue both at the revenue line as well as at the profit.
Understood. And lastly, Mr. Menon, in terms of your Forex, what does the strategy look like? If you can throw some color, because Forex business has somewhat seen a soft growth. So going forward in FY25, what are the expansion plans for that business?
So Mahima, you should not look at the top line in foreign exchange. Obviously, you will appreciate while it is volume driven, that's not what we measure. We measure our margins, which are significantly higher. I think second important point is that in the foreign exchange business, we've seen a significant growth in retail. We expect our corporate businesses to start flowing back. They've been a little slow to take off, partly on the IT sector, where the number of employees traveling to the West on assignments is still low. And the fact that we will continue to see a growth in retail, which obviously gives us higher margins than the wholesale business does. I think an important aspect is that we see demand continuing to grow. It hasn't slowed down at all, despite the fact that the rupee did weaken initially, but it's been actually stable over the last several months.
Understood. Well, Mr. Menon, thank you so much for taking our time and speaking with us at NDTV Profit. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.